let's start with Batgirl. So on Feb 16th, we got pictures of the new Michael Keaton Batsuit that is going to be either well, in both Batgirl and the Flash movie. So here are some pictures that we also see Gordon, a young Gordon with a different hair. So it's definitely a flashback. And we see Michael Keaton's Batman. So there are two discussions to be had here, but let's start with the suit. What do you think of the new suit?
Yeah, the suit is very different from the 1989 Batman and 1992 Batman Returns, which I would expect because we haven't seen Batman in a while. Keaton's Batman, so the suit, I would have been disappointed if it didn't evolve. And then there was some reports that this is the exact same suit that is in the Flash movies. Then 15, 20 years went by where he didn't change his suit again, which I don't kind of like. I wish he kind of evolved a little bit further. But yeah, they're the suit. People were saying, look, it looks very loose, but it's a stunt suit. Like it's not Michael Keaton in the suit. Like, so I don't mind that too much. But there's more emphasis on the chest and shoulders and the actual abs, and he looks bigger and he looks kind of more intimidating as well. And I was trying. I remember seeing a shot like this in a comic book, and I was trying to think what comic book was it, what artist was it, and I was kind of annoying myself because I couldn't think which one it was. And next minute, this is a true story. The the comic book artist, Alex Ross, followed me on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I was like, Alex Ross, and oh, that's pretty. Like, that's why is he following me? And I went into his profile, and his cover photo, his banner on Twitter, is the shot that I was
Yep.
thinking about. So that's weird how that happened.
Yeah.
So basically, if people want to look it up, it's the Alex Ross. Just look up Alex Ross kind of Batman, the way he designs it, and it looks very kind of similar to. I don't know if you can see this now, but it looks very similar to what we're seeing kind of in the. Can you see that? No.
No, there's too much light.
Okay, sorry. If I can send it to you, you might be able to pull it
Yeah.
up. But it reminds me a little bit of that. The kind of ears are kind of pointy, and he looks big around his shoulders and stuff like that. So I think the suit looks pretty well. It doesn't look like Batfleck or anything. I know many people don't like Keaton returning and stuff like that, but in terms of the suit, it looks
Yeah.
intimidating. And
And also it's the
I,
stunt
I,
suit, but it's also
yeah,
without the cinematography and color grading, editing and all that. But just from a set suit perspective, I think it looks still pretty cool. And I think it'll look even better in the movie, obviously, because, of the editing and all that. It looks more
yeah,
modern.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna, and like it's kind of cool to see these set photos, and the suit doesn't look terrible to me. Like the final product will look a lot better than it does. Like, that's the worst the suit will ever look
Yeah.
is on the set. You know, So I think it looks I think it looks fine. To be honest with you, maybe that's me just being optimistic, but I don't think there's any problem with it.
Yeah, I agree. But also, let's talk about the second thing that we see J.K. Simmons, Jim Gordon, with Michael Keaton's Batman in a flashback scene. So, especially since this is a flashback, and I've been seeing that a lot of people are getting confused as to why this is happening, and they are getting upset that this is basically rewriting all of Batfleck's history in the DCEU, which we never saw in the first place. But I'm just saying that it's kind of rewriting that, and I understand why some people might be frustrated with that, and I get it. But I also think that this is kind of good for the DCU going forward, to separate itself from the Snyderverse, because in that way both directions can coexist without having to adhere to each other's storytelling, or each other's limitations with the stories. So we all know for years and years WB didn't want the nightmare stuff from Zack Snyder, but Zack Snyder definitely wants that. That is his story, and he'll be done after the nightmare story. So he has nothing more to say other than that. And WB doesn't want the nightmare stuff. So clearly they're not going to work together, right? And the best the best situation for this was the introduction of multiverse in 2020, when at the fandom they announced that they were going to do the multiverse and stuff, right? So that got a lot of people excited. Ezra Miller's cameo on the CW got a lot of people excited because that meant that DC introducing multiverse would mean that they are carrying both directions together. Like Zack Snyder's universe was going to continue, and the DCU would also continue. So, but after that, Toby Emmerich took over. He canceled the Snyderverse, and he just wanted the DCEU to exist. And there's no Snyderverse stuff going to happen, at least for now, until the merger that's coming a few months later. But even then, we don't have a guarantee. So let's see what happens then. But with that groundwork said, I think, look, this is not confusing at all. When you have a new timeline after the Flash movie, that new timeline will have some changes which also would be in the past. So the new timeline was does also have a past which we didn't see, and this is basically that past. So this is the past of the new timeline where J.K. Simmons is Gordon and Michael Keaton's Batman. So yeah, I think differentiating it like this is kind of messy. It's confusing for a lot of people, but I think it's a good thing eventually for both universes to exist. Um, but what do you think of this whole situation going on with WB?
Yeah, well, Brian in the chat is giving me shit for liking the Keaton suit. it's not, it, it's not baffling. Um, yeah, but look, I don't know. I think whatever happens in the Flash, it sets up a new timeline, of course, and then like there's a new timeline, and Michael Keaton. I think a few characters remember what happened in the past and stuff like that. Like the Flash will be one of them. Kind of reminds me of Wolverine at the end of Days of Future Past. He remembers all the previous movies and what happened, and he has that as his past. But the other characters that are around him have a different kind of variation of that past as well. You know, because there's a new timeline that's been created. But like J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon, he could be playing, as Rokan said, playing a version of the Jim Gordon from the Burton era. He could be the new Gordon in this new timeline. Like Batman '89 still happened, Batman Returns still happened, but it was Jim Gordon, J.K. Simmons. And then the new timeline is what we're seeing now in Batgirl and stuff like that, you know? So it's hard to kind of know what exactly is happening. Um, I don't have I don't have the answers. Hopefully, they showcase it in a very understandable way when watching the movies. But yeah, there is a new timeline, and for me, it doesn't. I don't really care anymore about the discussion about erasing the Snyderverse
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter what happens. Like it honestly doesn't because the multiverse and these movies, like they're movies. It doesn't have to. It's not affecting our world. Like Warner Brothers could come out and say that Zack Snyder is doing Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 on HBO Max, and that comes out, and Aquaman, just for example, could die.
yeah,
But we still get Aquaman 3 in theaters. Like one doesn't affect the other.
exactly.
It really doesn't. So I don't really. I'm just going to watch each movie and each show as it comes, and just watch it for what it is, you know.
Yep.
And uh, anything can happen. It's God's sake. Wolverine Origins came out. It was terrible, and they still had no Wolverine. They still had Logan. Logan was still possible, you know. Like the X-Men franchise was all over the place in terms of continuity and what was happening with the movies, but they still came out and movies happened. Deadpool happened, you know, after Origins. So it's not that deep. It's just a movie business. Movies can be made. Anything can happen.
Yeah,
Ben Affleck can come back and do Dark Knight Returns with Zack Snyder in 10 years from now, and it doesn't have to affect anything. You know, it's just they're movies. But it's cool to see J.K. Simmons there. I'm glad because he was a Zack Snyder casting. He's back, but he just has a new. He's in a new timeline right now, and on Earth One or whatever, he was Batfleck's Jim Gordon, but now he in this new timeline he's Michael Keaton's one. So I just okay, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
It's nothing too crazy. Not too crazy. There's just this new timeline right now. My question would be: does Wonder Woman, does Aquaman, did they remember Batman v Superman? Did they remember
I don't think so.
Justice League? Did they remember stuff like that? You know
Post Flash, I
what
don't
kind
think
of
they'll
what?
remember.
Yeah, Flash maybe, or Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton remembers his
Yeah.
world, and Flash remembers his world. I don't know. Does Michael Keaton remember, like, who was his Jim Gordon when '89 happened and Returns happened? You know, stuff like that. So, and then, like, who is the DCU Joe? Like, is Michael Keaton pulled into the main DCU, or is Flash pulled into and all those other characters pulled into the Burton first? You know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of question I have as well, because is Jack Nicholson the DCU Joker now, or is Jared Leto still the DCU Joker? So there's a few questions about it. We'll have to see. I think Grace Randolph was saying that Michael Keaton is pulled into the main
Yeah.
DCU, which then it technically is kind of getting rid of Batman v Superman because it never happened. Maybe it happened in a different kind of way. You just don't know. But I'm not going to wreck my head over it because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too annoyed. Winter Naomi Vera says the Nightmare timeline was going to be prevented at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League 3, with Superman leading the world's heroes, including its citizens, to victory against Darkseid. It doesn't affect continuity at all. Exactly. Like, down the line, like, Warner Brothers could come to Zack Snyder and say, Zack, can you come and do, like, the Nightmare timeline? And he does it, and, like, it resets everything, and like, the past is different. Like, there's movies. Anything can happen. It's just
Even Zack
like,
Snyder's Justice League is a different timeline than BVS.
Yeah, it's crazy the way it all works and stuff like that. But that's the beauty about the Nightmare timelines. You could say, "Oh, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League are timeline 1," and then Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 are this other timeline. And then it changed because of what happened in Zack Snyder's Justice League 1. You know, time travel and all that kind of stuff. You can play around it. It's not that deep. It's a movie, and I think if a movie is good and enjoyable and it's not too complicated, then it can work. You know.
Yeah.